everybody, this is dkdynamite, and today we have quite a bit to talk about in regards to a Season 2 for Black Ops 4 Zombies, as well as a DLC 5, also known as Victus Chronicles. So as you guys may know, we recently got an update to Black Ops 4, which didn't do much for zombies, but luckily that faction's Dark Ops calling card was removed and replaced with something else that finally allows people to get 100% in Black Ops 4 Dark Ops. So besides that, nothing else was really added to zombies, nothing in the spoiler territory by any means, but some good buddies of mine did data mine the shit out of Black Ops 4 and still noticed that DLC 5 is still present within the strings and code of the game, which is still promising, and I'll be tweeting a picture of those strings and code later today on my Twitter. I can't include that image in this video for obvious legal reasons, but besides that update to Black Ops 4, there's a very specific email that I want to break down in today's video, and this email was actually sent to Glitching Queen, which apparently contains information about what Season 2 in Black Ops 4 was supposed to have and still might have later this year. And she gave me permission to do a video about this. She is planning to do one herself, probably later this week, but luckily we'll be covering it early here today. So in regards to this email, this was sent by an anonymous person, and again, take it with a grain of salt. This is from an unverified source, but it's still worth reading in case any of this is true. So the email starts off with, "Hi, you started a well-needed conversation on Black Ops 4 State, Treyarch State, and moving forward with Call of Duty 2020. I wish to add to that conversation." Let's start with where Black Ops 4 was going. Black Ops 4, along with Black Ops 3, were going to be the definitive Treyarch Zombies experience while simultaneously kicking off the Chaos story. While what we got with all 8 maps was mostly planned, there was more in Treyarch's playbook. Had Treyarch not been forced to mostly leave Black Ops 4 to work on COD 2020, leaving a severely slashed budget, there were plans for a Season 2 of Zombies. This included faithful remasters of 5, Call of the Dead, and Mob of the Dead, remasters of Die Rise and Buried akin to Zombies Chronicles, and a reimagined Transit going back to Treyarch's original vision of the map before having to scale it back due to hardware limitations. 2 new Chaos maps, finishing off their arc in rescuing Alistair, and the cherry on top, a re-envisioned Origins set in 1299 during the Great War. There was even a few rumors bounced my way by my close friend at Treyarch about a bonus map being unlocked by beating all 17 maps, calling back to how Nazi Zombies was first introduced that was set in Treyarch Studios. Whether or not that was legitimately planned, was an idea floating around the studio, or was just a simple joke, I don't know. The person then said, "To top it off, Grief was planned to be played on all maps, and Turn was also planned on returning, but I don't know in what capacity. Each map in Season 2 also would receive a gauntlet mode. Needless to say, they had ambitions. I even know what was planned for the super Easter egg in Season 1, but based on my info, I'm not sure if it was cut or not. I don't get Easter egg info from my friend because I prefer to figure out the Easter eggs on my own, then go back and watch either you or Milo on improved methods and various side Easter eggs that I wouldn't figure out in years. But I do know a few details, just not the methods on various eggs. I don't want to spoil the super Easter egg for you just in case it is functional in the game. So what I will say is, before continuing with the rest of this email, I want Queen to get in contact with this guy and hopefully see what that super Easter egg was, because at this point, we're all just curious as to what it could have been and if it is still functional in game. So if this person is legit, we definitely want to know what that super Easter egg was. So hopefully he responds at some point later this week or maybe early next week with details on what that super reward could have been. So he then continues and says, "So how did things go wrong? Well, there was 3 main issues. Black Ops 4 was in development hell from my understanding, and Zombies wasn't beta tested nearly enough due to a combination of not enough testers for a rush development and not enough time that comes with such a development. Multiplayer was also hurt, but to a lesser extent. The second issue was easily avoidable, and it was leaning in too hard on the Chaos story early in the DLC cycle. Fans are used to the Aether's rich history from over 32 maps through 5 games. Aether took a while to build up its story, and it's because of this familiarity with the Aether story that has been hard for other zombie stories starting off anew, have struggled to get a proper foothold. And this isn't an inherently bad thing, it's human nature to draw expectations from a similar experience to a new one. And Aether has had 32 maps over 5 games. Comparing a story like that to a new story starting out with 4 to 5 maps is unfair." But this bias in the community isn't really going to change, and Treyarch really should have planned for that. They made a smart move having 2 Ether and 2 Chaos maps at launch, but then they focused on Chaos too much in the early season. Realistically, I think Ancient Evil and Alpha Omega should have been swapped in their release. That's a lot to take in when it comes to Black Ops 4 specifically, but this was a response to Glitching Queen's recent video where she kind of went over some big reasons why the budget was cut for Black Ops 4 as a whole, and a lot of that is definitely because of the negativity that the community kind of threw at Treyarch, some devs, Blundell, Activision, and it is fair to say that the community was extremely frustrated with the release and the stability of Black Ops 4. I think it's reasonable to say that people were upset, right? You know, blue screening ruined Easter egg hunts, it ruined high round runs, it ruined the game for a lot of people and kind of put a bad taste in many people's mouths to the point where they probably didn't return to the game after trying it for a couple of weeks, you know, after October the 12th. And with a couple of patches, the game became more and more stable to the point where it was fully working, and I think it was December or January, and sure, it is unacceptable for a AAA game to release like that, but at the very least, Treyarch tried their best to essentially keep the community engaged with a lot of new content, and by far the most content Zombies has ever gotten, while also trying to patch the game. It was very clear, especially at release, that the game just wasn't ready to come out. It needed at least another month or two of QA testing. You know, unfortunately, the game had to release early because of Activision's competition with Red Dead Redemption, so there was a lot messed up with the release. Obviously, there was a lot of development hell going on with the scrap campaign, kind of shoehorning in Battle Royale, and then trying to do so much with Zombies at release, and I think Treyarch's ambitions were phenomenal. It's just the execution, unfortunately, just wasn't done too well because of Activision forcing them to release the game early with very little QA testing behind that. So besides, you know, the development hell and the community's negativity, I think it is fair to say that Treyarch planned so damn much with Black Ops 4, and, you know, it went as far as, you know, a Season 2, right? And in Glitching Queen's video, she also said that Black Ops 4 was supposed to have a campaign-like budget when it came to the Zombies mode. Coming off of such a successful season like Black Ops 3 Zombies, clearly Activision wants to double down on that and figure out ways for Black Ops 4 to be better than Black Ops 3. You know, that's obviously the goal for a business, right? Be better than your predecessor. So with Black Ops 4 Zombies, there were many ways it was supposed to be, you know, miles better than Black Ops 3 with more game modes, more maps, 2 different stories, a second season of content, and just such an updated game that's far superior than Black Ops 3's multiple years of updates, right? You know, when we got to year 2 of Black Ops 3, we got more weapons, Zombies Chronicles, and then with year 3, we got some like tiny operations, kind of hyping us up for Black Ops 4. We got a DLC 6 for multiplayer. There were a number of updates for Black Ops 3 post-launch, and Treyarch confirmed that, you know, as Black Ops 4 is kind of exiting its life cycle, it will still be supported in a similar way to Black Ops 3 with more updates throughout, you would call this a year 2, which is promising and such, but the person in this email doesn't specify whether the content planned for Season 2 is completely scrapped or not. He just mentions what the content was supposed to be for a Season 2, and again, take it with a grain of salt. This is coming from an unverified source. I'm not claiming this as 100% legit. Glitching Queen will be making a video about this probably later this week on her channel. She'll give her 2 cents on this email and, you know, the contents it includes. So let me know down below in the comments. Do you believe this guy who emailed her? What do you think about the Season 2 of content? Are you hopeful for, you know, Call of Duty 2020 and the new iteration of Zombies? I'll have a separate video coming out probably tomorrow or later this week going over a now deleted Reddit post which apparently contained leaked information about Call of Duty 2020 Zombies. That Reddit post was fake, but people out there didn't get a chance to see what it was before it was deleted, so luckily I saved screenshots and I'll be kind of breaking all that down in an upcoming video. I also like how the person in this email talks about a Origin style remake for the Great War taking place in like the, you know, 1299 era, which is a very interesting idea because I heard something similar a couple of months back from a different source who said that yes, if the Great War was going to be a map for Black Ops 4 Zombies, it would have definitely been an Origins remake, and that was my theory to begin with anyway, right? Because you could see the Origins mound, right, where the Pack-a-Punch is, in the Revelations ending cutscene, so it's fair to say that, yeah, the Great War takes place somewhere, you know, near the Origins excavation site, and it's also funny how in the Origins intro, Samantha does say long ago in the battlefields of the Great War, and it's kind of a funny statement because it's talking about both the Great War, World War I, and the Great War that took place with the Keepers and the Apothecans, so it's funny how they kind of mentioned that in Origins, so it makes sense to see some type of remake to Origins, maybe not exactly the same as the original with the layout, but at least have the mound and the excavation site, and then, you know, the surrounding area would have been a huge Great War. And if Zombies and Black Ops 4 truly had a campaign-like budget, you can bet your ass that Treyarch had some crazy-ass plans for how they would make a map to the Great War, but who knows knows how long ago, you know, that was actually storyboarded and when that was actually scrapped and replaced by the ether maps we eventually got with Black Ops 4's DLC season, Alpha, Omega, and Tag they're toting. Let me know what you think of this down below in the comment section. This has been dkdynamite. Once again, as a final reminder, the information from this email is not coming from a verified source, so who knows if this person is legit. Could be another situation where it's one of those guys that's like, oh yeah, my friend or my uncle works at Treyarch and I have all this inside information. Could be one of those clowns, but, you know, fingers crossed this is legit. But again, Glitching Queen will have a response video to this email at some point on her channel later this week, or maybe next week. We'll just have to wait and see. And as another final reminder as well, my verified sources who have gotten so many things right in the past were saying that some possible release dates that were thrown around behind the scenes for a Zombies Chronicles 2, the 3 Victus remakes, were either December or January. So if that is in fact correct, then we should be getting some major leaks or possible official announcements for a DLC 5 and BO4 at some point in the next couple of weeks. Could be a great quarter 4 or even a great quarter 1 sales boost for Activision, since they probably don't project Modern Warfare's DLC to sell that well, since it'll probably just be some campaign expansions or more Spec Ops missions. Who knows? But that is about it. Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everyone.